In 2019, a woman opened her laptop expecting a normal evening online. But within minutes, she discovered something that would completely change her life. Her face was appearing in images across the internet. Images she had never taken. They looked real. Not edited. Not obviously fake. Just photos of her, in situations that never happened. At first, she assumed it was a cruel joke. But the more she searched, the more disturbing the truth became. Someone had used artificial intelligence to create deepfake images of her. And she wasn't the only victim. Over the next 5 years, this discovery would lead to an investigation carried out not by police, but by the victims themselves. An investigation that would eventually uncover dozens of manipulated identities and expose the person responsible. This is the story of how one woman refused to stay silent, and instead spent 5 years hunting the person who used AI to target her. The first discovery. The discovery didn't happen dramatically. There was no warning. Just a simple message from someone online. A stranger had contacted her asking if a photo circulating on a website was actually real. Confused, she opened the link. And there it was. An image showing her face attached to someone else's body. The resemblance was almost perfect. At first glance, it looked like a real photograph. But she knew immediately it wasn't. She had never taken that picture. Never posted it. Never even been in that location. Someone had created it. Using her face. Using artificial intelligence. This type of manipulation is known as a deepfake. Deepfake technology uses machine learning to analyze facial features and map them onto other images or videos. The results can be shockingly convincing. And by 2019, the tools required to create these images were becoming increasingly accessible online. At first, she reported the image to the website hosting it. The site eventually removed it. But within days, another version appeared somewhere else. And then another. And another. Each time slightly different. Each time more realistic. It became clear that someone was actively creating them. Someone who had access to multiple photos of her face. Most likely pulled from social media. But the biggest shock came next. Because as she continued searching, she began to find other faces. Realizing she wasn't alone. While investigating where the images were being posted, she noticed something strange. Several other manipulated photos appeared in the same forums and websites. Different faces. Different victims. But the same editing style. The same types of accounts uploading them. The same digital fingerprints. Curious, she reached out to one of the women whose face appeared in another image. What she learned was alarming. That woman had experienced the exact same thing. Images appearing online. Faces stolen from social media. Fake photos spreading across different websites. Soon, more victims began to connect. And together they started comparing notes. The patterns were impossible to ignore. The images followed the same style. The accounts posting them behaved similarly. And the timeline suggested that the same individual was responsible. But the scale was far bigger than anyone expected. Some victims discovered dozens of manipulated images of themselves. Others found entire online profiles built around these fake pictures. Some victims were even contacted by strangers who believed the images were real. And for many, the psychological impact was severe. Because deepfakes don't just distort images. They distort reputation, identity, and trust. People begin to question what they see. And victims often feel powerless to stop the spread. But instead of giving up, the group decided to do something unusual. They began investigating the case themselves. Building their own investigation. The victims started documenting everything. Every image. Every username. Every upload time. They treated the situation like a digital crime scene. Patterns began to emerge. Some accounts appeared repeatedly across different websites. Others used similar usernames with small variations. Even the timing of uploads revealed clues. Many posts appeared late at night in a consistent time zone. Over time, they created a timeline of activity stretching back years. And one disturbing detail became clear. The person behind the images wasn't a sophisticated hacker. They weren't hiding behind complex tools. They were simply using publicly available AI software. Programs designed for experimentation with machine learning. But instead of using them responsibly, they were using them to manipulate real people's faces. The victims also discovered something else. Some of the photos used to create the deepfakes had been taken from ordinary social media posts. Vacation photos. Group pictures. Selfies. Images that had originally been shared with friends and family. Which meant the attacker had likely been collecting photos for a long time. Saving them. Organizing them. And feeding them into AI programs to generate new fake images. But the investigation was slowly narrowing down the possibilities. Because every digital action leaves a trace. And eventually, one small mistake would lead them closer to the person responsible. The digital trail. After years of tracking accounts, one username appeared repeatedly across different platforms. It wasn't identical every time, but it followed a similar pattern. The same numbers, the same wording, the same behavior. Sometimes the account posted manipulated images. Other times it simply commented on them, encouraging discussions, sharing links, almost as if the creator was monitoring the reaction. The victims documented everything and eventually shared their findings with investigators. Authorities began examining the digital trail more closely. Eventually, they were able to connect several online accounts to a single individual. Someone who had allegedly been creating and distributing manipulated images for years. But what made the discovery even more disturbing was that some victims had indirect connections to this person. In certain cases, the individual appeared to know the victims personally, which meant this wasn't random. The images may have been targeted. And that realization made the entire case far more unsettling. A growing global problem. The story didn't just expose one individual. It exposed a growing global issue. Deepfake technology is advancing rapidly. And tools that once required advanced programming skills are now widely available. Anyone with basic computer knowledge can experiment with face-swapping software. And while many people use these tools for harmless entertainment or creative projects, others misuse them. Experts warn that deepfake abuse is becoming one of the fastest-growing forms of digital harassment, because it combines two powerful forces: artificial intelligence and the viral nature of the internet. Once a manipulated image is uploaded, it can spread across platforms in minutes. And even if it's eventually removed, copies often continue circulating. For victims, that creates a difficult reality. Trying to remove something from the internet after it spreads is extremely challenging. And legal systems in many countries are still catching up with the technology. New laws are beginning to address deepfake abuse. But enforcement remains complicated, especially when perpetrators operate across different countries or anonymous platforms. After 5 years of tracking accounts, collecting evidence, and connecting victims, the woman who first discovered the fake images helped bring attention to a problem that many people still don't fully understand. Her determination helped expose the person responsible. But more importantly, it helped reveal the growing risks of AI-generated manipulation. Because in today's digital world, photos are no longer simple proof of reality. Images can be altered. Voices can be cloned. Faces can be recreated. And as artificial intelligence continues to evolve, society will have to decide how to protect truth in an age where technology can easily reshape it. For now, one thing is certain. The internet never forgets. And sometimes, the only way to fight digital abuse is to refuse to stay silent.